Welcome to Amar Vyas Speaks, a collection of short stories, notes, and life events by author Amar Vyas. 80-20 Rule, The Indian Way, 2015. Many of you might have heard of the Pareto Principle, commonly known as the 80-20 Rule. Wikipedia defines the Pareto Principle as follows. For many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. The Pareto Principle works well in most parts of the world, with one possible exception, India. In my experience, 20% of work takes up 80% of your time here. The Pareto Principle in India should be referred to as the OTERAP principle, that is, Pareto spelled in reverse. Not surprisingly, this 20% work is dependent on others, a plumber here, an electrician there, or maybe even your tax consultant. Allow me to explain. The office scenario. The other day, I needed to print a 30-page draft of a report at my office. I left home bright and early so that I could print the draft and then review, edit, and finalize the report. When I hit the print button from my desk, the printer beeped, and then beeped again because it only had 10 odd sheets in the tray. The copier paper was locked away in the supply cabinet, and the office attendant who had the key was going to arrive only by 9 a.m. In other words, my plans of finishing the work early would not be realized for another hour and a half. Frustrating? Indeed. Even after 7 years since I returned home, I find it frustrating. And some of the questions that should arise do crop up in my mind as well. Why don't they fill up the paper tray before leaving the office? What is the need to keep the office supplies under lock and key? Or why does it happen only to me? But develop an understanding of how things work in India and you will not feel frustrated. Many people work late hours here. This practice stems from a perception that working long hours is synonymous with working hard. The office attendant may have filled up the tray the previous night, but what if these hard-working people had printed several pages and nearly emptied the tray in the process? And remember, since 1947, generations of Indians have lived in a world of scarcity and frugality, so many believe that what is scarce needs to be guarded. According to some, office supplies fall under that category. So, there is no point in getting frustrated when you realize that the copier paper sits in a locked cabinet. And finally, it happens to all of us, not just me. So, it is time to take a deep breath, walk around the office and check for plain paper in a different printer, then grab what you need, load up the tray with this paper and get your prints. That is how you get the job done. That was the 80-20 rule in action, where 80% of my time was spent looking for the paper and I spent the remaining 20% reviewing and finalizing the report, which was the primary task. But this is how things typically work in India, and the sooner we realize and get used to it, the better it is for all of us. The home scenario. If you thought I was kidding, the situation at home is no different. I was about to start working on my next novel last night when the lights went off again. Just then, my dog Buddy started howling. It was time for his walk. But we had to wait until the electrician fired up the diesel generator so that the elevators could take us downstairs. It doesn't help that we live on the 10th floor. Right then, my wife told me that her mobile phone needed to be charged. But the battery in the inverter was running out of juice, so recharging the phone was out of the question. In the middle of all this, Buddy raised his hind leg near the dining table. My wife went wild with anger, and I had to drop everything and clean up. Sorting out the whole matter took me nearly an hour. Before I could start writing again, my phone buzzed. It was the car insurance company who wanted to confirm my address. I had updated the information on their website the day before, and the phone call was to confirm my action. Of course, they first had to verify that I was indeed the right Amar. After 2 hours of managing this chaos, I was able to find that half an hour that I needed to write. Conclusion. Be it the office, the workplace, a social gathering, or a visit to the mall, the OTERAP principle holds true. But by now, I have internalized my definition of the 80-20 rule, so I am at peace. Published as a guest post on Living India podcast and blog.